Just want a little, I smoke, yeah. Nigga, I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they act. Stroll around the corner, hands in the hood with a gat. They won't book me for that. Won't bag me for that, huh? Undercovers come up to me, ask me for crack, not protect and to serve. That's provoking the act. They won't book me for that. They won't bag me for that. But the man in ties, they just look at me back. I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. Is it the rich that is mean or the ways that you stack? Or the pigmentation of his skin, he's black, like they won't book me for that. Won't bag me for that. Ain't even speeding, I'm doing my limit. Can't be taxed, it's illegal. System structured, so you can't be rich. Got us breathing mustard. My brain's blue from the smoke. Ponics, human product. Illumines force light, they call simulate. The devil used man to try to make life, cause God wouldn't tell him, condemn him, fell him. God gave us the seed to reproduce till Mother Earth is full. So in the mean, I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they at. Stroll around the corner, hands in the hood with the gats. They won't book me for that. Where the good people at? Motherfuckers come up to me, ask me for crack. Protect them to serve, that's provoking the act. They won't book me for that. They won't back me for that. But a man in ties, they just look at me back, cause they think I'm black. Nah, man. Bruh. Something like that.
Marijuana, yo, it calm me. I don't know why they always on me. On it in a king for me. If you stop us, we put it out calmly. Officer, where's your authority to impede a national on her land or his seas? How I love the sense of me. Bonnet I tell, no grabber in my weed. We check out the stems and seeds. Rolling while I'm rolling, that's a regular tendency. Enough man beat the NSC, but me some bubba roots or some ganja tea. I take 2 draws for my enemies. Envious bad mind with the jealousy. But on the nothing we are the remedy. Chef in Zanga bits, we mastered the recipe. Watch this roll, yeah, it's a masterpiece. I don't care who sees, I burn my herb in the streets. The cushion pang is always on me. Few times the pussy them try swam me. Intelligent tone, I tell them calmly, I'm MIA, Moorish Imperial Army. Mind what you say, you might rub me wrongly. Matter in me eye, I bury and beef. Me no even brush me teeth. Me want me some beef, me no get a split it bun, me get cranky.
Marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they act. Stroll around the corner, hands in the hood with a gat. They won't book me for that. Won't bag me for that, huh? Undercovers come up to me, ask me for cracks, not protect and to serve. That's provoking the act. They won't book me for that. They won't back me for that. But the man in ties, they just look at me back. I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. Is it the rich that is mean or the ways that you stack? Or the pigmentation of his skin, he's black, like they won't book me for that. Won't bag me for that.
Whew. Fuck me, that was intense.
Sounds like it's having a hallucinogenic effect. Not like a drug, which is harmful and wrong, and just say no, kids. But spacey nonetheless.
Have you ever heard or thought that you saw, or felt the pain from third eye to your jaw? Felt schizo, brain circuit strip so, got me seeing strobe lights like a disco. Under skin crawls, seeing one state shapes out of the norm, demonic forms takes. Forces external, stress is extreme, eyes wide open, though it's a dream. It seems sort of like alienation, surrounded by aliens at a PlayStation. Nerd impulses, feeling pulses or noses, suffering from tripped out psychosis. Doses, seeing clouds drip like ET, sun rays touch fingertips, reflect kiss off your cheek like lips, repeating like skips, peeling the air in strips, pattern swirl, walls seem to breathe, mixed up senses that I can't perceive. All I see is sounds, I'm hearing what smells, I'm craving hallucinations like hell. Enter the realm where there's talking gazelles, speaking metaphysic, I'm feeling depressed. Fez wearing horn, Noel puts his hand on my chest and says, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out. All I did was have a piece of a shroom. My mind going zoom as I spin with this room. Forks run with spoons, knives guilty for murders they committed. Should I be committed to a mental ward? Straight jacket fitted. Frog walks out the wall talking ribbit. I'm overstanding every word said in my head. Then here comes death, smelling like dead, telling me to follow him flying on fog. On his death log he checks off guard. Looking into his hood, darkness all I see, and darkness is all around me. Light asks me to take a west sound beat, then introduce me to speed of thought, and she told me by being told man knows naught. Carrying on, swinging like Barry Bonds. The flower bouquet from whence he married yawns. Rapper's frost was a corpse. Power and force, divorced of course. Power is an illusion, took the bigger loss. My last 4 blinks felt like ice rinks. Came to my senses looking down sinks. After that I didn't know what to think, so I'll just put the rest of shrooms into my drink. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out. The trip is a trip.
Peace, Moors, Islam. You already know what time it is. You already know what time it is. We're here. We're here. We're here. We're here.
We're back. We're back.
Another session. Another session for the psychedelic Moors. What's good, brother Heru?
Just out here, man. Happy to be back with the Moors that I love.
Islam.
You know, people that I love. It's always, you forget how important it is to have community. You know, we're out here working our job, chilling with our homies from the block, from our youth, seeing our family, but it's not the same thing as community, right? Of knowledge and people that share a passion for that knowledge, man. So it's always good to be back here at the class to share with y'all, man. To just be around Moors, you know, people who are happy to be Moors and not NBCs, man. It's a good feeling to be back. Even though Jamaica's pretty dope too. I'm not saying Jamaica was dope. Jamaica was pretty dope too, man. But it's good to be around some Moors again. You know? Yeah.
For real.
All right.
Well, you can go ahead. Floor's yours.
Right. Yeah, sorry for the absence, guys. The last few weeks I was away at a wedding in Montego, but I'm back. So this will be our last class before the brief hiatus, and then we restart again. And the hiatus is just so I can read some more materials, some new research papers, get through finishing some new books finally, so that way on our next round of the curriculum we can tackle the same stuff but from different angles and some different symbologies and things like that. It's not always repeating the exact same thing, same concepts, but there's such a plethora of information out there that we got to do the rounds and make sure we get all the information in. So I got to take a small break to make sure I can read up on that info, and then we'll come back to our regular week-to-week curriculum once again. So yeah, man, today's class is not really a class, really. It's more like it's a workshop day. And gonna finally get into how to produce this stuff for yourselves. And before I get into this, I'm gonna tell you all the truth because I know Moors can handle the truth. And the truth is that what I'm about to show you guys is gonna seem on the outset like a lot of work. I just want you to be prepared for that. You know, we talked about self-mastery in the previous weeks. This is part of it too. The discipline to produce this stuff for yourself. The discipline to have access to your own journeys at your own time, that you want to do it for yourself and not have to rely on Tom, Dick, and Harry for your journeys. Be able to be self-sufficient, right? Being self-sufficient is an important part of self-mastery. So this workshop, we look at growing the stuff. That's a part of a spiritual journey too. And it's just as much work as it is to actually eat the things to grow them. So this is an important part of the process. And so, yeah, even with that, I just want you to know, I promise you that no matter how much work it seems like it is, once you get the ball rolling, it becomes a much simpler task, borderline enjoyable, not quite, but borderline enjoyable. And from that point on, you don't have to worry about getting a tainted product, because you never know who you're getting this stuff from, right? You know, that's one of the reasons that they use for trying to regulate this stuff. They say it was unsafe because people can do whatever. So, you know, it's like common law, right? The onus is on the buyer, or the onus is on the Moor or the individual to do their due diligence to make sure that they're not getting ripped off. It's the same thing here. This is the due diligence to make sure you're getting a clean product that's going to take you to the place that you want to go to, that hasn't been tampered with. I'm not saying other people are, not saying that your product you buy from everybody else is being tampered with. I'm not saying that, but at least this way you know it's not being tampered with, that it's clean, and that once you go through this process once, you'll have an unlimited supply of mushroom babies or spores. In other words, you do this process once and you will never, ever have to purchase spores from anybody else again, because you'll have them for life. And we'll get into that in the lecture. All right, so just a recap of last day, we talked, last day's class was really just about the proof of the entheogenic practice, the practice of Islamism in the scriptures, right? And its relationship, the relationship of the entheogens to the universe and the universal cycles, or to Allah, right? In terms of electrons being planets and that sort of stuff, and how the proof of this perspective of entheogenic origins of Islamism is in the scriptures. Remember that we looked at the essay, Getting High with the Most High, right? We went through the essay and the proof that the tabernacle was a place basically of entheogenic vapor that Israelites went into, or the priesthood went into to communicate with Yah. That's pretty much what it is. And of course, we looked at that one essay, and the essay had tons of examples of the recipes in the Old Testament being ripped right out of the exports of Kemet. So, yeah, it's all up in the scripture, and not just the Old Testament, the New Testament. It's all up in the, it's, a bit in the Quran as well. We looked at the harmal concept, or harmal and harmaline, right? That sort of stuff. And we, of course, the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana. I mean, it's all up in all the scriptures. And so the reason we did the workshop in this order was for this purpose: a brief note on laws. Because, as we know, psilocybin, not everywhere, and it's changing, but for a long time, it's been classed as a Schedule III drug, which means that it has no medicinal benefits, and it's basically, pretty much serious prison time if you get caught pushing this stuff, right? And even ownership. Of course, the laws are changing now, and some states are looking at this now, and they've changed those laws completely. Now the Schedule IV drugs, so they've got use, and they've been regulated so people can use them recreationally without any sort of consequence. But justly speaking, right, legally speaking, since the 60s and 70s, with the big acid influx, this stuff has been Schedule III drugs, and you get incarcerated. But that's the reason why everything we've taught up until this point is so important, because nationality is the order of the day. And yes, we are all under military occupation. We got to be smart. We got to move smooth. We got to be defensive. Yet, nationality is the order of the day, because as indigenous people, we don't worry about state legislation, do we? To the extent, obviously, that we're not impeding anybody else is freedoms, but we don't worry about state legislation because we're indigenous. We were here before the state, and there are 10,001 international declarations. I have a list of them here if y'all want me to check them to you, but I just give you an example. The DRIP, the OAS, the ICCP, on religious freedoms. It's in the constitutions of America. It's in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The list goes on and on. And so now that we are armed with the knowledge that entheogens and the use of them are in the scriptures, they are an integral, if not the most integral part of the prophet's communication with Yah and the deities. We had the proof from the scholars, right? The scholarship we went over, the books we went over, the symbology on the walls we went over, the work of Dr. Newberg and Strassman, and the many countless books by PhDs and whatnot and investigators on this stuff. So it can't be denied. So keep that in mind when if people are concerned about, the legal challenges of this stuff. It doesn't really refer to us. We're talking about religion. We're talking about old time religion. That's what Drew Ali said, but it's religion nonetheless. And there is no law that can be made against anyone's practice of religion, as long as, of course, it is not impeding with someone else's freedoms, which this obviously is not. So just a quick note on laws as a recap. When I first came into the knowledge, and I was first learning to write writs and affidavits and stuff with Kuju and the boys, we studied maxims of law as a basic foundation premise. I don't know if that's still something that temples are teaching, but it should be. And the reason it should be is because natural law, or God's law, what is it? Where does it come from? It comes from common sense in nature itself. If I stab you, it hurts. So you know that there's a law against that. If you rob someone else, it hurts them, or it hurts them. It hurts them personally. It hurts them in terms of what they can provide for themselves and others. There's a law against that. So natural law and God's law is basically, you could say, codified in Scripture, right? Scripture is the codification of natural law. of God's law. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet another's wife, etc., etc. All right. Now, how does that relate to today? Because Scripture gives birth to the maxims of law. Right. The Old Testament, New Testament, the Quran, the basic three, though of course there are others. That's natural law and God's law. And from that, we get the maxims of law. The maxims of law, which, of course, are the guidelines for all court case precedents today. And then from the maxims of law, that gives the foundation for the common law. Right? Common law in terms of corpus delicti, right? There has to be an injured party for there to be a case. You know, common law, you know, it's not like you get a parking ticket these days. That's not common law because there's no injured party. Who you pay the money to? The city, but the city is not a flesh and blood being, so that's not really common law. They just taken common law and used it to create positive law. And then they abused that with statutes and bylaws that draw finance or currency from you. But it's not supposed to be that way. All right, so the maxims, the scriptures give birth to the maxims give birth to the common law. The common law provides a foundation for positive law, and positive law is supposed to be used in the form of statutes to provide common law solutions to context. So we have contextual things that pop up in life in dealing with each other, in dealing with nations. The positive law navigates the common law to come up with solutions unique to the context that we have in our modern day. And obviously that's what's being abused today. That's part of the things that we are always fighting against, right? But I'm just layering this for you so y'all can see we learned the scientific and religious side of this first, so that way you don't have to worry about fighting for your right to practice Islamism in its true form, because it's in the scriptures already. So it's already law. It's a law that is above any other law that these goonies can try to throw at you. All right, indigenous law. So with that being said, let's move on and let's get to the work. Okay, so all right, I call this the Shoddy 99 PF Tech. All right, and that's not just because it sounds cool. It's because the PF Tech uses a shotgun style, what we call a shotgun fruiting chamber to grow the cakes which house the spores. All right, so it's a shotgun fruiting, we call it a shotgun fruiting chamber. And 99 is because I have never, since I started using this modification, it's a very small modification. We'll get to it when we get there. But since I started using this modification, the PF Tech, I have had a 100% success rate. I've never had a contaminated batch since. And but you can't say anything's 100%. So I'm gonna just not toot my own horn and just call it 99, right? 99% effective across the board. All right, the Shoddy 99 PF Tech. All right, if you grow the spores this way, you are very, very likely to have a successful batch. All right, so that's why I call it the Shoddy 99. All right, so let's get started with this, man. So the first part is preparation. Do not let this deter you, because it is the biggest part. What I would do, and what I often do, is what I did is I would just take a few days, man. Take a week to gather these items one by one. You don't have to get them all in one shot. All right. Canadian Tire is your best friend if you're in Canada. If you're south of the border, then I don't know, a Home Hardware, a Home Depot, anything, man. This stuff is easy to find. It's just a matter that there's a few things you have to get. And so don't think you have to get it all at once. You don't. You can just do a few trips, a couple stores, take your time. And once you get all the products in front of you, then you can begin the work. But just be cool. Don't be overwhelmed. Just take your time and get the items first over the course of a week or so. All right. So going to take 2 tote boxes, a dehydrator, a drill and a bit, hammer, some thin nails, and sealing tape. All right. You guys have seen the picture right here. This is the dehydrator. I gave you guys a picture of the one that I use. It's a Salton Vita Pro. It's outdated now. I'll probably get something even better. It's cheap. Can't remember how much it was, but it's pretty cheap. That's what you need for the dehydrator. All right, that's the last part of the PF Tech. So you don't need it to the very end, but it's an absolute must. So make sure you get the Salton Vita Pro dehydrator or something like it. Or they call it what do they call it, man? It's not called a dehydrator. A food. I forget the name of it, but it is dehydrated. If you ask them for it, they'll know what you're talking about, or just show them the picture, and someone at the store will be able to take you to that. So yeah. So, and this right here is the picture of the sealing tape. All right. So yeah, Kudro, man, let's switch it up, and so that way I can show the people some pics that would be helpful. All right. All right, so what I would do first is the tote bag, right? Or tote box. So this right here is the tote box, all right? It's pretty, I think this is like 30 by 12 or something like that. I would buy 2 of them. Buy 2 of them. And that's your tote box, and the tote box becomes the shotgun fruiting chamber. All right, so very important to get 2 of these. Get it in a size that will fit your house or your apartment or wherever it is that you live in. It doesn't have to be this big. This is like a moderate size one. They come even bigger size than this, or they can come small. It doesn't really matter. Get a size that fits your wherever your location. But you want to be sure that it will at least fit 12 jars, 12 mason jars. And I'm going to show you the mason jars so that way you know what I'm talking about, right? This is the tote, though. All right. So that's the tote. And everything else is pretty simple, right? What did I say? Let me just check that. I drilled in a bit yet. Okay, so here's the drill. All right. You need this drill here, and the drill will come with bits. If you don't know how to use these things, don't worry about it too much, man, because what will happen is that the instructions are always, they come with it. So it's very simple. You take a bit like this, you put it into the drill, right? Press a button, and it turns the drill on, right? And I'll show you what you need this for, but don't worry about that for now. For now, just buy it. Buy the drill, buy a bit, all right? Let me see. Very simple, buy a bit. All right. Hammer, pretty self-explanatory. I like to buy thin nails like this one. These ones right here. All right, very thin nails, small thin nails. You're gonna need them. I'll show you what you need them for, but it's better to have them like this, small, thin, and sharp. All right. I didn't include this on the list because you don't really need it, but this is basically, it's like sandpaper, but electronic. So you can buy this if you want extra, and you'll see where it comes in use for later. And if you were to buy this, you would just, it comes with a bunch of these things right here. And when we drill holes in the tote later, you would just apply this small little piece right here. See that circle? It comes with the tool anyway. You just take that, you put it on top of the bit like this, and you would just use it to smooth out the holes in the toe. But that's not important right now. All you need to know is that if you want, it makes the job not easier, but smoother. You can buy one of these tools as well. All right. Not that important right now, not necessary for the actual program, but I bought mine at the time. All right. So what else do we need besides those things on this first list? Sealing tape. Okay, so sealing tape, I showed you guys a picture of. And what you do with sealing tape is that you are going to see this lid right here, the lid of the tote. You're going to fill it in with sealing tape. You see that it's yellow. It used to be pure white. Now it's yellow, so that means that it was used pretty well. So you're gonna fill in the tote lid with sealing tape. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. All right. Takes no time at all. 30 seconds. All right, and that's the first things you're gonna focus on buying are those. All right, we're gonna switch back, Cujo. And next, after that, you're gonna buy a magic marker or a permanent marker, whatever. You're gonna buy mason jars. All right, mason jars. You're gonna buy 2 spray bottles, and you're gonna label them. One will say alcohol, one will say water. I had a terrible incident involving alcohol and water while doing this PF tick, which I'll tell you guys about later. So make sure you label them. You're gonna buy rubbing alcohol, 70% ideally. All right. Medical tape, which is right here. See this brand NextCare? That's what I use. Doesn't matter what you call it, micropore or medical tape. It's the same product. All right. It's just tape with tiny little perforations that allow air to pass through. You're going to buy perlite and vermiculite, brown rice flour, and aluminum foil. All right. All right, Cujo, man. Switch. I'm going to show them the work, the products. All right. Rubbing alcohol. Simple shit. 70%. If you don't have it, if you already have alcohol, it's like 100%, just dilute it with water. All right. Easy enough. Mason jars. Really, really important, the mason jars. You must buy the mason jar that looks like this. All right. This is a Bernard. What is that? Bernardine mason jar. All right. They must be this shape. They can't be the ones that are curved like a woman. All right. Or like an hourglass. Can't have that. Okay. It's got to be shaped like this. The same way all the way through. All right. I'll take the lid off here. All right. This shape. All right. Got to be this shape. Spray bottles. There you go. Bought these for like $1 from the dollar store. All right. Just buy 2 of them and label them. 1 water, 1 alcohol. All right. You put your alcohol in the one and the water in the other, and you label them so you never mix them. I'll tell you a horror story in a little bit, and you'll see why. All right. Simple stuff. Okay. Perlite. Looks like that. All right. Grab that from the gardening section. The gardening section, doesn't matter where you're at, man. Canadian Tire, Home Depot, doesn't matter. Perlite, okay? This is the Miracle Grow brand of perlite, all right? So you grab yourself a bag of it. This stuff is cheap, by the way. I think this cost me like $7. So when I say stuff is cheap, I mean it, right? $7, $7, $8, $9, $10, $11 cheap. Perlite. Vermiculite. All right. The Pro Mix brands I like to use. Same thing. This probably cost me $12, something like that. So it's pretty cheap. Vermiculite. All right. Grab that. Brown rice flour. I'm not going to show you guys because, I mean, it's just Bob Mills. You go to any health store, any grocery store in the line and just say, I'm looking for brown rice flour. It'll be where probably the, the seeds and nuts are. And that sort of stuff, or the quinoa, or whatever. It's be all in the same section, or the flour. It'll all be the same stuff, or the sugar, all in the same section. Brown rice flour. All right, the brand doesn't matter. Brown rice flour, that's it. Aluminum foil. I'm not going to show you guys that. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? And magic marker, you guys get it. All right. So that's what that list is. All right. We got one more list, I think. All right, Cujo, switch. Okay. Syringe. You got to buy a syringe, man. Syringe. I got, what do I got? I got a syringe here. Lighter, a knife, pots, face mask. The ones who work during COVID are fine. A mixing bowl, right? Regular kitchen mixing bowl, and a Spore print. Check and provide $4. Yes, I sell them. I don't sell them, but I would sell them only to nationals. Yes, it have to be sold because, as you'll see, it takes time and money to produce them. So you have to be able to pay for that. But once you have a Spore print, you only need one. You'll never, ever, 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 ever need any Spore prints ever again. I have a little box at home. I probably got, I don't know, 15 Spore prints in that box just from the one that I first had. You know what I mean? So every time you'll see you go through the PF Tech process, you can produce as many Spore prints as you want. So once you have one Spore print, you're set for the rest of your life. Okay. All right, Cujo, switch. I'm gonna show them the stuff. Okay. Wait till I come up on the screen there. Syringes. I have a link to syringes that I like. I'm happy to share it with the group, like I always do in the chat. So you buy syringes like this. It's detachable. All right. So it'll come like this. It'll come with the actual syringe. It'll come with the needle. You just attach it just like that. Just like that. That's it. All right. So you get a syringe. What else did I say? You know, a lighter, knife, pot, a knife, I like a butter knife, like this. Butter knife is the best knife for this job. All right. So butter knife, not like a regular knife, right? Like a butter knife. Okay. Butter knife for this job. Yeah. I mean, face mask, a mixing bowl. Oh, the Spore prints. Let me show you guys the Spore prints real quick. Okay, so Spore prints will come. Remember, tin foil is sterile when you first get it out of the box. All right, so don't worry. You get a Spore print like this. All right, I'll send it to you, or you get one from wherever you get it from. But it should come on tin foil like this, or it's got to come on tin foil. All right, and so then you're gonna just unwrap the tin foil. Until the Spore print is revealed. All right. So how did I make this Spore print? Of a picture of it over here? Yeah. So basically, when you grow the psilocybin, oh, look at that. I tore this Spore print to pieces. That's gonna be a new problem for me to have to figure out when it's time. Anyway. So yeah, so you're just going to when the mushrooms grow, just pick one or pick two or pick 10 if you want. You pull the cap off the mushroom and you place it face down on some tinfoil. All right. And then once you do that, all you're gonna do is just when the mushroom cap is on top of paper foil, you're gonna put like a couple drops of water onto the top of the cap, cover it with a lid so it's sealed and airtight, and just wait. The next morning when you wake up, take the glass off, take the lid, the mushroom cap up, and you're gonna see you'll have this there. Very, very simple. And then now you're gonna use that to create more psilocybin. All right. Yes, it's a sacrifice. That's the reason why. I mean, if you use a cap for this job, that cap is done. You can't, it's not safe to ingest. So you got to throw that cap away. So every time I make mushrooms, I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a few of these full grown mushrooms. I'm going to make some Spore prints. And then I get to the table, and I'm like, that's a really pretty mushroom cap. You know, I don't want to waste that cap. I want to eat that cap. I want to dry that cap. I want to keep it so that I don't do it. But you have to do it because otherwise you run out. And so just keep in mind that when you do it, you do have to discard it. That cap is dead, and you have to use one that's a large one. So unfortunately, you have to say goodbye to your prettiest cap probably. But the point is, it's forever. All right. So that's how the spores look. Okay. Everything else in this is pretty stuff. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, man. So that's it for that. Cujo, switch back, and let's talk about the how to produce them. Okay, so you are going to hammer holes into the cardinal points of each mason jar lid. All right, so you'll take a lid. The mason jar will come with lids. Cujo, switch back for a second. The mason jar will come with lids like this. All mason jars is why they use them, because they're special for sealing, right? The lid is two parts. It's got an outer edge and it's got like an inner plate like that. So it looks like this, and you just take it apart like that. So you're gonna hammer holes. See how old this lid is? I've used this lid 1,000 times. You're gonna hammer holes into the four corners of the lid. It's a cipher, y'all, for real. All right, hammer holes into the four corners. I like to put the lid on top of a sturdy surface, like a book or something I'm not using. Get the nail, right? And I just hammer with the hammer until it goes through the lid. Then I do the next one, do the next one. You got to do each. That's the painful part, right? But once you have these lids hammered through, once again, you're good forever. You don't do it again for a long time unless you want to. So, yeah. Hammer holes into these four corners of the lid. Okay? All right. You're then going to keep it there, Cujo. Actually, let me see this. Yeah, let's switch back for a second. Sorry, Cujo. I know you're on demand right now today. Forgive me, man. All right. So
it's all good, boy. It's all good.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So then you're gonna flip the lid upside down. All right, and you're gonna cover the underside of the holes with the medical tape. Okay. So, brother Cujo, switch back. I'm gonna show y'all. Where's my tape? All right. So this is not it. This is not medical tape. This is scotch. This is invisible tape, scotch tape, whatever. This is not it. You understand me? I'm just using it as an example demonstration. Do not use this tape. Do not. You must use medical tape or microspore tape, okay? I'm going to just show you the process, though, because it's the same. So normally the lid is like this. The metal part goes with the metal part. But for the PF Tech, once you make the holes in the lid, you must switch the lid around like this. And this part faces up now. You dig? Not this. Do not do this. This is the way the jar naturally comes. Every mason jar comes like this, but not you. You're going to take the lid, make the holes in it, and then switch it around like this. Boom. All right? That's how you're going to do it. Then you're going to take the tape like this. You'll take a piece of the tape, a small piece, short piece, this right here. All right? Even shorter than this, a short piece of tape, short tape. And then you're going to, how can I get this on the camera properly? Okay. And then see the holes that you carved in, right? You're going to cover that like this. So the tape, the microspore tape will go over the hole. Fine. There you go. Just like this. All right. And it'll just wrap around the edge. Boom. Simple. And you do that for each of the holes. All right. The tape goes around the hole. Boom. And it just attaches on the inside edge. And if it's a bit long, you can roll it over a little bit. No problem. That's what you're going to do. All right, just gonna get the tape one more time. Triplet the tape. All right, remember, underside, right? And you're going to place that tape over the hole, cover it, and then attach the edge of the tape to the inside of the jar. Just like that. Very, very simple. These steps are not difficult. There's just a lot of them. All right, see that? The tape went over the hole and covers the inside of the jar. That's it. You're going to do that with every single lid. Okay? Once you've done that, the jars are now complete, and you just put them off to the side and move on to the next step. All right, Cujo, switch. Now, the next step is you're going to take a bowl, okay? And you're going to mix the bowl with your vermiculite, your brown rice flour, and your water. This is the most critical part of the entire process. All right? So the ratio is 2 parts vermiculite, 1 part water, 1 part brown rice flour. Simple. So parts means whatever you're using. So I like to use cups, all right? So you're going to get a bowl, going to take 2 cups of vermiculite, put it in. 1 cup of water, put it in. 1 cup of brown rice flour, put it in. And then repeat until the bowl is full. Again, 2 cups of vermiculite, 1 cup water, 1 cup brown rice flour. If the bowl's not full, do it again. 2 cups of vermiculite, 1 cup water, 1 cup brown rice flour. Are you going to do that exact ratio until the jar is full? Then you're going to mix the jar. The bowl. Mix the bowl. Mix the bowl. Mix the bowl. Mix the bowl until it's all one smooth texture. Very, very simple, right? Not hard to do, just a lot of steps. One smooth texture, all right? Then when you have that texture prepared, now comes the fun part. The easiest part of the whole thing. All right, Cujo, switch back. All right, so you're gonna take that, you're gonna scoop out the mixture from the bowl, and you're gonna place it into the jar. This is why I call it the 99 shoddy, the shoddy 99 tech. I changed the way I do this. I used to take the mixture and fill it into the jar all the way until the lip of the jar, which you see the edge right there, right? All mason jars have this edge, right? Because that's where the cap screws on. I would fill it right to the lip right there. And then I would put an extra layer of vermiculite. So you're supposed to do all the way to the top of the jar. And then I'd put the lid back on top of the jar. And now you have your first jar complete. But then I realized, well, I actually get a better success rate if I don't fill the jar with the mixture as much. So now I fill the jar with the 2-1-1 ratio mixture up to about, I'd say, 80% of where that lip is. So not all the way to the lip, but like just below it like that, about 80% of it. And then I put vermiculite on top of it. So there's more vermiculite. The vermiculite acts as a defense layer to any bacteria or pathogens that want to get into the jar, right? So that's why you got to have it. But I use more vermiculite now than I used to. So I have a little bit less 2-1-1 mixture and a little bit more vermiculite. Although my yields are slightly smaller, they never fail. And that's the modification that makes it 99. All right. So you're going to do that to all your jars. Okay. And then that's done. All right. Okay. Is that pretty much it? Okay. Switch back, Cujo. All right. So then the next part is you're going to cover the lids or the jars with aluminum foil. And that is part 1. Part 1 is done now. I'll show you guys that in a second, all right? So next, after part 1 is done, you have all your jars, and all of your jars have the 2-1-1 mixture, right? And the vermiculite on top, right? So 2-in-1 mixture, vermiculite on top. The lids are taped on. It's perfect. The jars are sealed. Boom. Good. Now it's time for part 2, inoculation, which means sterilizing. You got to sterilize these jars against pathogens that are already in the mixture that you just put in there. All right. So the PF Tech is designed to be simple. It's a poor man's way of growing the mushroom, so that way anyone can do it. Okay. So yeah, you're gonna inoculate these jars. Now, how are you gonna do that? Well, remember the pots that said you're gonna have. So you're gonna buy the pots. You're gonna. They should be big pots. Pots big enough to fit at least 3 or 4 jars in. You're gonna cover the bottom of the pot with a face cloth or a washcloth, any kind of cloth. All right. And then you're going to put the jars on top of the cloth in the pot. All right. You're going to fill the pot with water. And the level of the water should be about half the height of the jars. Remember, as you put more jars in, the water level will rise. So you're probably better off putting all the jars in and then adding the water after that. But make sure you don't get the water. You don't. The jars are covered with tinfoil, but still, you don't want to have any more water in the jars because that will ruin the 2-1-1 ratio. So I like to use heavy duty aluminum foil so no water gets through, and I still will pour the water around the jars. I won't let the water go actually on top of it. All right, but you're gonna fill the pot with water to half the height of the jars. All right, bring the water to a rolling boil. So not like water flying everywhere and the bubbles are just bouncing around like bubbles, but just a little bit, just rolling bubbles. All right, and set the timer for 90 minutes to 2 hours, and just leave them on the stove, bro. That's it. Now you just wait, and the jars are sterilizing. All right. I usually like to keep the element at around 2.5, and that seems to keep it at a rolling boil for that period of time. All right. Then you move on. All right. And so now you're gonna take your tote box. All right. You're gonna line the lid like I showed you with the sealing tape. Very, very simple. You're gonna take your drill now. All right, and plug it in, and you're going to get your marker, and you are going to mark the tote box with the marker. You're going to make dots on the tote box 2 inches apart, all across the box, up and down. This is the shotgun part. All right, so that's what you're going to do. You're going to mark the box with the marker, a dot every 2 inches. Boom, 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 all across the box. Then you're gonna take your drill and your bit, and you're gonna drill each of those holes. It takes a while. That's why, while the 2 hours or hour and a half where the jars are inoculating or sterilizing, all right, that's when you're gonna do this part. You're gonna drill holes into each of those marker dots, all through the box. Okay, then you're gonna lace that. There's gonna be debris in the box, which is you have to just clean it out. So you just spill it out, turn the box over, it will fall onto the floor, just sweep it up, and that's when you can use that sandpaper thing I mentioned to actually smooth the holes that you drilled through. But you don't have to do that part. All right, it's not that important. What is important is that you clean the debris out of the box. Lace the whole motherfucker with alcohol. All right, the whole thing with alcohol, and then seal it. Put the lid back on top. All right. Now, remove the jars and wait overnight. Let the jars cool. All right. If you try to place spores into the jars when they're hot, it might kill them. So you got to wait. All right, Cujo, switch back for a second, brother. Okay, so To recap, you got your lid, you got your jars now full of the mixture. Perfect 2-1-1. Cover that baby with aluminum foil, just like that. Get a pot. Put a cloth at the bottom. You're going to get a bigger pot than this. I'm just showing you for example, right? Put the jar on top of the cloth in the pot. Fill the pot with water, about half the jar's height. Seal the pot and let it get to a rolling boil. And then make sure you turn down the heat to keep it at a rolling boil for an hour and a half, 2 hours. The reason you need the tin foil, man, is because first the water will evaporate, right? And it's going to get on the bottom of the lid. And on the underside of the lid, it'll drip down. If you don't have the tin foil, it'll drip down and go through the holes in the lid. And now your mixture is ruined because there's too much water. All right. All right. So heavy duty tin foil to make sure that the water that evaporates does not fall onto the lid and ruin what's inside. Okay. Because remember, it's micro pour tape. So there's holes in the tape. So water will get through it. So heavy duty aluminum foil costs like $3. All right. Everything is pretty cheap. All right. You're just going to wait. And now I'm going to show you the shotgun, what the shotgun looks like. Okay, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but maybe if I do it this way. See, there are holes in this tote box, and they go all the way around. Front side, back side, right? All the way around. So you're going to take the drill, right? We talked about the drill. You're going to drill the holes, right? All through on all the dots that you made with your magic marker. Now, this will take some. There's going to be hundreds of them probably. Actually, hundreds. So it will take some time, but that's what you're going to do. You're going to drill holes where the marker's at. 2 inches apart. Okay? Done. Your lid, remember the lid? It's already sealed, right? So you're good here. All right. So now you got your shotgun chamber, your sealed lid. You pour out the debris from the lid, from the chamber, and then you just clean it with alcohol, and now you seal it good. All right, so now we're caught up, and the main part is complete. All right, Cujo, switch back. Let's get to part 3 here, which is the injection. Okay. So this is focus time now, guys. You must have a sterile environment. If you're on the table, you got to clean that table with alcohol. The surface has got to be clean, right? Clean environment. All right. I would even close the windows, everything, man. Just make sure your environment is as sanitary as you possibly can. All right. Don't even fart if you can avoid that, okay? Just keep the environment as clean as you can, all right? Okay, so take the jars out carefully. All right, remember the ratio. Don't let water inside, okay? Brush the water off the tin foil. Put the jars aside. Get your mask, your gloves, your knife, your lighter, all right? An extra jar, cup beside you as well. Sterilize that as well. All right, put the mask and gloves on. All right, rub alcohol over all the gloves, and now you got to focus. This is the focus time. So you're going to take the spore print that I showed you, and you're going to fold it into a small little cup, and you're going to pour a little bit of water onto the spore, because now you've folded into like a cup style, so the water will stay there. All right, just be careful with it. put some water in there. And you're going to take your knife, your kitchen knife. You're going to sterilize it. I'll show you that in a second. And then you're going to gently scrape the spore prints off through the water, all right? So the spores will come off the tinfoil. They'll be floating around in the water, okay? So now you're going to sterilize the needle the same way you did the knife. And you're going to draw the water, the spore water through the syringe. And you're going to now remove the tinfoil from the jar, from the first jar that you're going to use, and stick the needle through the holes and the tape gently in the jar, and then push the spores that can inject, push them on the syringe and inject the spore water against the sides of the jar just past the vermiculite layer. All right, Cujo switch. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, shoot. I guess. Well, you heard it. So I thought that was already on the PowerPoint screen. Back, bro. Yeah, switch back to the camera so I can show them guys how to do this part. Okay. So, all right. Ta-da! We got our jars right here. Okay. Gloves are on. Mask is on. All right, gloves and mask on. Alcohol, right? 70%. Pour it onto the gloves. Rub, okay? Take the butter knife. Apply fire. Just like this. Just like that. Over the knife. All right? It'll probably discolor the knife a little bit. All right, just do that for a little bit. All right, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, fire to the knife. Then you've got your alcohol. Get a little piece, a little cloth here, right? Just dip the alcohol in the cloth and just like that. Sorry, you're just gonna scrape it through. Right, clean the char fire off the knife with the alcohol. All right, so now you have a sterile knife. And with the needle, do the same thing, right? Okay, you're gonna light it like that. All right, same thing, alcohol, boom, 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 onto the cloth, and now clean the needle with the alcohol. Now it's sterile. Okay, so the lid is off the jar, and you are going to just take the jar, and you're going to stick the needle through like that. All right, and you're just going to squirt it in there. Okay, that's how you do it for the jar. But I guess I'm skipping a step. First, I'll show you the aluminum foil or the spore spring. So here's the spore spring again. So once you've sterilized the needle and the knife, here's a spore print. Remember that guy? You're going to fold up the tin foil into a little cup. So that way it holds the water. All right, like that. So see the edges are folded up, spores inside. So when I pour water in there, it doesn't spill out, it stays. Okay? And so I pour water in there. I take my sterilized knife. And I just gently scrape the spore print off into the water. Just like that. I have my jar of water over here. So what I'm going to do, get my spore. Right? Simple, simple. Now the spores are all floating in the water, right? You're going to just, right, suck the water up. Here's the jar. Right there. And I'm just going to into the jar, right through the vermiculite layer against the side of the jar. That's it. Once you've done that, you're going to do all four corners, right? You're going to have a full syringe. Maybe you do a little bit into this hole, 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 right? There's 4 holes, right? And then that's it. Put that jar on the side, back, or put it back in the tote. All right. Remember, I told you to buy 2 totes. So one is shotgun tote and one is just for holding. So I put it back in the. You don't have to, but I find it more effective this way. I put it back into the holding tote. All right. That's it. Now I go back to my fresh water tub, right? Pull my water from that, squirt it into the tinfoil cup, mix it around a little bit, and now I've got, again, more spore water. And again, remember, there's millions of spores in this, right? Millions. So you're never going to run out, right? So again, use a syringe, pull the spore water out. Next jar is up. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. You do it all the way until all 4 things are done. I like to sterilize my needle after each jar just to be safe. That's the 99 way. You don't have to do that probably, but it is the best way to make sure that you don't get anything you don't get anything contaminated. So you do that with all 12 jars. And if you run out of spores, it's very simple. You just hit the knife again, re-sterilize, scrape a bit of spores off, and just repeat it. Do that until they're all done. All the jars are finished. Then you put the jars away, out of sight, somewhere cool. Switch back, Cujo. Switch back. Now it's patience. You're going to wait for 6 to 8 weeks. You don't have to do nothing. All you got to do is just wait until the jars look like this. Totally white. That means that the mycelium has colonized the jar. It's all white. Remember before this was a mixture of vermiculite, brown rice flour, and water. So it was a brown jar. But now it's completely white. I'd say after about 2 weeks, you should see the first strands of white, and then it'll progress very quickly. If you see any colors other than white, for example, green, blue, purple, yes, I've seen all those colors. I've seen green, blue, and purple. I've seen it. That means that it is contaminated, and you have to bite the bullet and start all over again. All right, that's why I can't stress enough the importance of having a sterile environment, because it's a fucking pain in the ass to go through all that shit and then you have to restart. But the good news is that at least you'll have you don't have to create new jars or create a new tote. You still have those, but you got to clean out each jar. So that's a pain, right? You got to wash each jar, bleach it, alcohol it, all of them. It's a pain, and then you got to restart the process. So just make sure that everything up to this point is clean, so that way you don't get caught like I did. This happened to me, I don't know how many times. Maybe I had about 4 or 5 contaminated batches. Heartbreaking. Anyway, that's that. Oh, and I said before, I'll tell you a story about labeling the spray bottles. Okay, so once you have jars that are all white, it's time for your first flush. All right. So get a garbage bag. It's a paper towel. Cover the kitchen counter with it. All right. Going to remove the jars and just slam the cakes out. All right. Any excess mushrooms that have grown. Some mushrooms are going to grow while the jars are colonizing. So you're actually going to find a lot of mushrooms in them. 3 mushrooms, which is great, right? So any excess mushrooms, take them off and place them in the dehydrator right away. All right. Scrape off, but for the cakes themselves, wash them, scrape off any extra vermiculite, any dead mushrooms. You'll find some ones that are like tiny little mushrooms that were aborted. They're dead. You'll know them that they're dead because super, super small and not useful. Scrape those off, all right? And you're gonna immerse these white colonized cakes, so they're gonna be completely dumped in the water, covered head to toe. You're gonna immerse them in a sealed bowl overnight for 8 to 12 hours. All right, Cujo, switch back. So you have your jar now, and the jar is full of the cake is now white. All right, the jar is white now. It's not brown no more. It's white. So you're gonna have to just taste it like this until the cake falls out. It'll take some time. You got to play with it a little bit sideways, but eventually the cake will fall out. Right? Be a nice white little pie. Take the white pie, remove the excess mushrooms. The big ones, put them right away in the dehydrator. The small ones, scrape them off. The extra vermiculite layer, scrape it off and wash it. You're going to put it into a bowl, completely immersed. Maybe put a plate on top or something. Completely immersed, and leave it there however many you have. 12. You'll probably take 3 bowls if you got 12, right? Leave them there overnight, 8 to 12 hours. All right, pretty simple, man. Pretty simple. A lot of steps, but they're simple to do. Okay, switch back, Cujo. So while the cakes are immersed and you're waiting overnight, you're going to take your shotgun. All right, your shotgun case. It moves out of the way. Should be out of the way a bit more. All right, you're going to take your shotgun case, your tote with the holes in it. You're going to take the perlite from before, right? The perlite, and you're going to cover the whole bottom of the shotgun tote with perlite, and then you're going to fill it with warm water. The warm water should be about 80% of the height of the perlite. Okay, so lots of water, lots of perlite, spread it around, and now that goes to the side. Okay, so now you're going to take your vermiculite again and get another bowl, a fresh bowl, and fill the whole bowl with the vermiculite. Take the cakes out of the bowl that they're in, out of the water. Going to roll them in the vermiculite till they're covered. Going to take that cake now and put it on top of the perlite in the tote box. Like I'm showing you here, you're going to put it on top of tinfoil. You see these pieces here? And those upside down. It wasn't upside down before. But anyway, you're going to cut little squares of tinfoil and put the tinfoil on top of the perlite and the little cakes on top of the tinfoil. And that's it. Once they're all in there, all right, you're going to seal it. You're going to seal it once again with the lid. You're going to place a lamp. That's what I forgot to mention. You're going to place a lamp over it. So that way, when your lights are off in your room during the day, the cakes still receive light. At night, it's fine. They'll be in the dark. It's fine. But at night, you want to have some light in the day. So if you can't get natural light, place the lamp over the tote box in the day. All right. Twice a day, you're going to take off the lid of the tote. You're going to use it to fan the entire tote. You're going to spray the sides of the tote with water and mist into the air, then reseal it. All right. Do it in the morning and at night. Keep the room warm as best you can. That's why I usually only do this in the summertime, so the room stays warm. If it's wintertime and you can't get the room warm, buy like a heater. Very cheap. Again, Canadian Tire, some $20, $30. Buy a heater. Keep it next to the box, close to the box or in the room during the day, so the mushrooms can stay warm. All right, switch back, Cujo. All right, so now here's the lid, right? So you've got your bowl of vermiculite. You've got the bowl of the actual cakes that have been submerged in water, right? You're going to take out the cake, roll it in the vermiculite, and then you're going to put it into the shotgun tote that I showed you before with all the holes in it. It's got the perlite there now at the bottom in the water. Just place them in there. And then that's the job. Now you're being patient. So I said to hit the lid and use it like this. And just use it to fan the whole box twice a day. Get some oxygen in there. All right. The holes are for oxygen. You're going to add some extra oxygen by fanning it like this. Take your bottle of spray. Make sure it's the one that says water. Here's a nightmare for you. I was away out of town. I was at a bachelor party actually in Quebec. Okay. All right. I told my girl, hey, I need you to spray the mushrooms for me because I'm not home yet and they need some attention. She said, okay. She goes and sprays them. I get home. What do I find out? They both look the same. The water and the alcohol looks the same. She called me before I even got home. Said, yo, I think I fucked up. I said, what you mean? So, yo, it didn't smell right. I sprayed the mushroom cakes and the tote shotgun chamber with alcohol, not with water, with alcohol by accident. I didn't know which one the water. They look the same. What do you think happened to those mushrooms? Cooked a whole batch down the drain. So yeah, just make sure you label them so that way you don't make the same fuck up I did and accidentally spray your tote case and brand new white mushroom cakes with alcohol. Stupid move. So that's for you guys. Don't do that. All right. Water. Spray the sides of the tote and the air of the tote. Seal it twice a day. All right, Cujo, switch back. All right, so the mushrooms that grow, you want to pluck them. They're going to grow quick. Watch them carefully because you want them to grow big, but you don't want the veil to break. So a picture of the, I think I can get one of the veil. Yeah, let me see if I can get a picture for you guys. Hold on a second. Where'd I go? I'll go here. Pictures. Here it is. All right. So I just want to demonstrate what I can. Huh. Yeah. All right. I don't have a picture right here, but I'll put one. If you guys want to see one, just message me. You have my email address, and I'll send it to you. But you want the mushrooms to grow, but you don't want them to grow so much that the veil breaks. There will be like a white veil that attaches the stem to the cap. All right. You want to pull the mushroom before the veil breaks because the spores are beneath the veil, and that's the potency. So if the veil breaks, the mushroom won't be as potent because now the mushroom is actually reproducing and it's not focused on growing itself anymore. It's focused on reproduction. So you want to make sure that that veil is still intact as often as you can. Sometimes in the morning, you look at the mushroom, you'll be like, oh, all right, it's still small. Come back in the afternoon, bro, that thing grew like 3 inches, and the veil broke. Like, fuck! I thought I had time, but just as much as you can, make sure that when you pluck the mushroom, you do it before the veil breaks. Okay, and we'll show you guys a picture of what the veil looks like later on if you guys want me to. All right. So anyway, once the mushrooms are grown, pluck them, put them in the dehydrator, set it to this temperature. All right, about 130 degrees Fahrenheit, 75 degrees Celsius. All right. Usually take about 12 hours for them to completely dry. All right. And once all the cakes are done, once they've all produced, the cakes will get dry themselves. You go back to the process of the flush. So you put them in water once again, and now you have to wait 24 hours. So the first time was 12. Next time is 24 hours or so. And then you just repeat that process over and over again. All right. When you have your mushrooms dried, okay, you put them in a freezer bag, Ziploc tight, put them in the freezer. When the bag is full, weigh the bag and label it with how much grams are in there so that way you know. All right. You'll aim for a journey every 4 to 8 weeks at 2 dose increments. So you'll start with a 5 gram dose. Next time you do a 7 gram dose. Then you do a 9 gram dose. Then you do 11. Let's say you get to 13. 13 is just too overwhelming. It's just you tripped out. It was too much. Do not go to 15. Okay, I can't stress that enough. Right? You do a 13 gram dose and it hits you hard. Do not go to 15. Stay at 13 until you can do 13, nice and calm and cool. Then do 15. Same thing. 16, 17 is when shit gets a little scary. All right, so don't rush it. Take your time. Be in the moment. Be in the journey. Deal with the stuff that occurs. When you can do it cool, when you can do it calm, relatively speaking, you'll be tossing a turn where you can do it without tripping out. Then increase the dose again for your next journey. All right, guys. You go and go and go until you hit the sweet spot. You'll know when you're close, and you'll know when you get there. I have not gotten there yet. I've gotten very close. But the sweet spot is basically, well, you're walking around, and now you're walking around in some foreign jungle or place that you don't know, meeting entities, with your your crystal handled lightsaber, or whatever the case is. All right, you'll know when you get there, and you'll know when you're close. All right, and that's when we begin to build our compendium. We'll build it all the way through, but that's when shit gets hot. All right, so that's it for the PF Tech. It's very, very simple. It just takes a lot of steps to go through. All right, Cujo, let's open up the floor to Q&A, and let's answer some questions, or your questions, anyone's questions about this process.
Islam was, you heard the call. So any questions, just put it in the chat in all caps, and we'll get those answered. Well, everything seemed pretty straightforward. Don't forget, this is going to be in the Mushrooms playlist.
Yep.
So you can go back. If you need to take notes or you forgot something or whatever, you could always go back. For the people who are overly interested, I would suggest YouTube to MP4 and just download this so you have it.
Yeah.
You have it, right at your fingertips. They already know how these people do.
Yep. And there are lots of PF Techs online. You can, if you look up PF Tech on YouTube or anywhere, you'll find them, but they're all different. They all have different approaches that people added to it themselves. The first one was created by, I think it was Terrence McKinnon in the 70s, but everyone since then has been experimenting with the PF Tech, and they have their own touch to it. This one is the specific way that I do it in terms of how much the jar is being filled is the most important thing. the vermiculate rolling after it's been dunked, and just some of the smaller things I mentioned to make sure that you have a very high success rate. Because, like I said, it is pretty terrible feeling when you put all the work in, you're waiting for them, the cakes to get white in the jars, and all of a sudden it turns purple, or there's a green spot, or a blue stream, and you're like, oh no, what does that mean? And then you open the jar and it's contaminated. And usually if one is contaminated, it's the whole batch. Not all the time, but usually. So, yeah. And if you had any issues about the PF Tech, about this version of the PF Tech, the Shoddy 99, you know what to do. Hit me up in the email or just rewatch this this lecture and make sure you take your time and do it right.
Are you seeing the chat?
I'm seeing. I don't see any statements though. Oh, private chat. I see. I don't see anything. Do you? Oh, I see. Yeah. I see.
Okay.
I see. How long did it take for the process? You know what, Cujo? It's always on private chat, eh? That's why I never realized there's questions.
Oh, for real? Yeah. There's the.
But it's
common.
common.
Yeah.
Okay. Took me how long to take the process? I would say it took me probably. I'd say my first two processes, start to finish, were successful. Oh, the first one was the best one. They were successful. After that, the next time, it was contaminated. And the third time and the fourth time was contaminated. And the fifth time was contaminated. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Why is this shit not working? And then I realized it was because the vermiculate layer. The third time onward, I had not been diligent enough with the layer of vermiculate on top of the mixture. And so then I realized, okay, simple to fix that. Let's do that. A couple more times, I had one more infected batch. I said, what happened? And I realized, okay, you know what? From now on, I'm just going to use a much more condensed vermiculate layer. And from that point on, never had an issue. So I'd say a year, maybe year and a half.
That was a self-correction.
Yes.
Like that was just Allah jumped in you, like, hey, dummy, put more thing in there.
Yeah. yeah. I was having problems with it, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I don't remember if I asked Domestic Clinic what was wrong, but I couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. That's like, my first time was so good, right? The first times were good. I was like, everything was the same. And then I don't know, Cujo, I just took a look at the jar, and I was like, Alex, you barely put any vermiculate on top. Because you think you're good.
I got this. I
got this, bro. I just sprinkle it on. Next jar, sprinkle it on. Next jar. And then I was like, yo, you're just spinning your wheels here, bro.
I got this. I don't need a belt. Pull your whole back up.
I need a belt. I need to watch these instructions no more. I'm a pro. I'm the GOAT, bro. Little sprinkle next, and then. Yeah, so it's a self-correction, and then honestly, from that point, I haven't had a single problem, not even one time. So my opinion is just use a little bit more vermiculate than most PF techs. Don't recommend that much. They just say you don't need that much, but I say just add a little bit more, and then you should be good without any problems. Yeah. It hurt though, Cujo. It hurt. I'll tell you, 3 batches gone. If I can tell you how much time that means, a lot. Actually, you want to cry, bro. You want to cry.
Yeah, those
you want to cry, man. This email, I don't see anything else. Yeah, you can. You know what? I am not opposed to selling my products to nationals only, obviously. But the thing is that Master Kalindi did not use PF Tech. He used like a lab. So he would sell his because he had so many of them, right? You have like 10 pounds 20 pounds. He had hundreds, so many pounds of them, right? PF Tech doesn't produce as many because, as you can see, the shotgun chamber is not that big. So, you know, I don't have as many for sale, but you know, we can always.
Also, he actually wasn't doing it at the house.
He was doing it at the house, but he had a bigger apparatus. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like some of these guys have like a room dedicated to this, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they have the suits, Cujo.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that figuratively. I'm
No,
saying,
yeah. For real.
You know what I'm saying?
They're in it. Yeah, they're in 100. Yeah.
In 100, yeah. They had it's expensive, right? The whole tent. So
right.
he was like one of those guys, you know?
Yeah, that's like the grow up man. The man who has a little tree in a pot, and then the next man's who have the chamber.
The big operations, right?
Yeah.
So you know, so that's the reason why. So but yeah, we can always talk about that. But you the thing is, you won't want to sell them.
Yeah.
You know, once you grow them, you won't want to sell them for anything because they're so valuable, right? Your first high dose journey, you won't look at them the same. You'll never want to sell them ever because of how valuable they are to you, unless you have like tens and tens and tens of
pounds. If you have a lot, yeah.
You know, I think Masculinity was doing it for like 40 years. He had like, you know, you can't count the amount of pounds he had, so that's one thing. But for most of us, you're never going to want to sell any of them.
When you say count the pounds that he has, meaning that once you get it, it doesn't go bad or whatever.
So let's say that you fill your bag up, a Ziploc bag, right? Maybe the bag has like I'd say the ones I have like 120 grams.
Yeah.
Put in the freezer, it pretty much lasts forever.
For real. Okay.
Yeah, they may lose their potency over time a little bit.
Yeah.
But they don't. I mean,
it doesn't go bad like that.
Yeah, dried and frozen, they're pretty much indefinite.
But you have to freeze it though for it not to.
You gotta freeze it.
Okay.
Freeze it. I would say probably not to go over 5 years.
Yeah.
But you could. They're indefinite. Some forums online will say it's indefinite. There's no end. So yeah. And honey, could you remember talking about honey? If you put them in honey as well, there's no end.
For real.
It lasts forever. Yeah.
That honey will be crazy.
Yeah. They taste much better. It's a much better experience.
Crazy.
Much better experience, man. And once you have a spore print, like I said, you're good forever, the rest of your life, because the spore print has millions of spores. So, you know, you do the PF Tech once, maybe that produces, I don't know, 200 mushrooms. Well, take 2 of the caps, right? Take 2 of the caps, make them into spore prints, and now you still have your first spore print, crush the 2 new caps.
Yeah.
You're doing that forever. You'll never, ever run out.
For real. You know,
I have never had to buy, I bought one, maybe like, I don't know, 7 years ago, right? 5 years ago. Never had to have another one. I have so many now. So, yeah. The spore prints I'll sell because you guys got to get started with something, you know?
Right.
You must have a spore print to start. But after you have one, you're good for life. Yeah. Any questions? I'm looking. Yeah, it is a lot of work, but it's not. You know, it becomes simple. Just don't get arrogant like me and think that you're the goat and start just sprinkling vermiculite everywhere and not putting enough to cover the jars in, man. And guys, yeah, please label the bottles, man. Don't be like me, a dum-dum, all right? And spray your brand new fresh cakes with alcohol. It crushed me in a way that I can't even describe. To know that I did it to my own babies. They feel like your babies, right?
Yeah.
So just label the bottles, man, so you don't make that mistake. It's pretty disheartening. I think that's good, Cujo. I don't see any other questions. As you know, you can always reach out to me if they want questions.
Yeah. Email's there.
Yeah.
Well, give thanks, man.
Islam.
Sure this was a good learning experience.
Some guy says black is whack at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Simple stuff, not complicated, just a lot of steps. But yeah, it'll work 99% of the time.
Islam. Give
Islam.
thanks, brother Eru.
No doubt. No doubt.
Appreciate it. Peace and love, Morris.
Peace and love.
Don't forget the Morris Rooms playlist. If you know anybody else that's interested, feel free to send the playlist to them, get them caught up to date. But yeah, that's sounds like a wrap.
It's a wrap. We'll be back in a little while. Back to class 1, week 1, with some new works to look at. All right.
Peace and love, Moors.
Peace and love, Moors.
Islam to all the Moors worldwide.
Worldwide, global.
Global.
All right. Till next time.
Sounds like it's having a hallucinogenic effect, not like a drug, which is harmful and wrong, and just say no, kids, but spacey nonetheless.
Have you ever heard a thought that you saw, or felt the pain from third eye to your jaw? Felt schizo, brain circuit strip so, got me seeing strobe lights like a disco. Under skin crawls, seeing one steak shapes out of the norm, demonic forms takes. Forces external, stress is extreme, eyes wide open, though it's a dream. It seems sort of like alienation, surrounded by aliens at a PlayStation. Nerd impulses, feeling pulses or noses, suffering from tripped out psychosis. Doses, seeing clouds drip like ET, sun rays touch fingertips, reflect kiss off your cheek like lips, repeating like skips, peeling the air in strips, pattern swirl, walls seem to breathe, mixed up senses that I can't perceive. All I see is sounds, I'm hearing what smells, I'm craving hallucinations like hell. Enter the realm where there's talking gazelles, speaking metaphysic, I'm feeling depressed. Fez wearing horn, no puts his hand on my chest and says, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out. All I did was have a piece of a shroom. My mind going zoom as I spin with this room. Forks run with spoons, knives guilty for murders they committed. Should I be committed to a mental ward? Straight jacket fitted. Frog walks out the wall talking ribbit. I'm overstanding every word said in my head. Then here comes death, smelling like dead. Telling me to follow him flying on fog. On his death log he checks off guard. Looking into his hood, darkness all I see. And darkness is all around me. Light asks me to take a west sound beat. Then introduced me to speed of thought. And she told me by being told man knows not. Carrying on, swinging like Barry Bonds. The flower bouquet from whence he married yawns. Rapper's frost was a corpse. Power and force, divorced of course. Power is an illusion, took the bigger loss. My last 4 blinks felt like ice rinks. Came to my senses looking down sinks. After that I didn't know what to think, so I just put the rest of shrooms into my drink. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out. The trip is a trip.